Game number 4 is about to begin. G2 Esports versus Rogue. And there is a lot of ego between these two squads and a long history between both of them here going up against one another. So many players have swapped positions between the two squads and swapping words every now and then on socials. Today we try to break it down before we get into game. We'll come back to the desk. I'm Milosh. With me are Jack and Fabian. I'd like to see, would it like it to be Jack or Fresh, by the way?
I'll take either. As long as it's coming from you, Milosh. Doesn't matter.
You'll take anything I got to give you. Well, let's talk about Rogue and what they can offer today, because we've been talking about Spoit. Oh my God, he's in day one. This is going to be amazing. So many people are going to tune in, and then, hey, you know, we need it to show up.
Yeah, last game they kind of choked, and then at the same time, M&M also came back mentally, I think, and started adapting. So last game they played against M&M on Chalet, and they lost it in overtime. And they were actually in the 6-3, and it was looking somewhat decent. But at the same time, my biggest standpoint from how they played was they rely extremely heavily on individual performance. In attack, it was Spoit and Kryn, and in defense, it was, well, Kryn. And they basically kept peeking, spawn peeking, individual pressure, and just kept playing the same way, even though M&M changed and started coming back. And I think M&M punished Rogue quite a lot in their individual mistakes as well. For me, it seemed very disjointed. Sure, they might have peaked at the same time, but they still peaked on their own from that position and had really poor refragging.
Yep.
And I think that's where they kind of kept just going the same way, and it led them sure to a 6-3 lead, but it also led them to the loss.
There was a distinct change at that 6-3 lead of when you're going to play with this identity, and Rogue have a very different identity to the 9 other teams in this league. Their win condition is purely killing people with teamwork, with 2 or 3 people, bit of utility, and just it's all about kills. When you are 6-3 up and then you start doing that in such a disjointed manner where you're trying to refrag, but the second person trying to refrag and the third person are 3, 4, 5 seconds behind, if you don't commit to it with 100% conviction, that's what you see happening, where M&M did such a good comeback because they were ready for it.
Well, it did seem like M&M were in control, and that's something Rogue are going to have to wrestle with. Yes, they grabbed the point, but how does it set them up for today? G2 didn't have a great day either. They lost to the Wolves, which a lot of people were thinking, oh my God, is this actually going to happen? Turns out building a dynasty, Fabian, is a bit more complicated than just that.
Yeah, I mean, they want to build the dynasty, and they said that the stage 1 was the learning stage. I'd argue that I feel like they've kind of just become worse. They're playing a lot more individually based now than they were last stage. And Jack, when Jack went through their gameplay, and I spectated him doing my job, so I didn't have to do anything, they just did solo stuff. Like, they droned themselves in. We spoke about it in stage 1. This is a super team where we have all these individually talented fraggers, but we don't really see any support except for Prano. The problem is now it seems like none of them are getting into the support role except for themselves. They support themselves, but they also frag for themselves. So it's like 5 individuals playing the game on the server, and they completely relied on individual performance to even grab 5 rounds versus Wolves. And Rice wasn't even on the scoreboard. So we're talking about a player was struggling with his kills, so he wasn't shooting back, and you still had to rely on individual performance.
There's 3 rounds I can think of where you're talking about individual performance. Citizen dropped the server hatch, Finker gets a free K and recovers it. Doki is playing kitchen open area by himself because Citizen's baiting him, gets a 4K. And Alamo swings in CO windows in a 4v4 and gets a 3K. And it is that individualness that is really bad with G2. And if you compare and contrast them to Heroic, who would give any player on Heroic roster would drone enough one in, would give their lives to bait each other out to get the refrags and work as a team. G2 simply do not do that.
Seems like the two teams are actually closer in the way that they have issues but also play than one may think. And we have a head-to-head for this as we want to compare 2 players, one from each one of our 2 teams, Alamau and Leon Gids. What are we looking at here?
So the reason that we wanted to bring both of these 2 players up is they're both players that you could argue that you've got to do a cost versus benefit analysis on having these players on the roster, because they will see opportunities and just make plays. And when it goes good, it goes really good. But when it goes bad, it can go very bad.
Both of them have also kind of gone from more aggressive roles into more passive roles, or what I technically see as passive roles.
The role is passive, but they don't play it passive.
Yeah. And it kind of just makes it so that they make these mistakes, and I wouldn't always call it mistakes. They're making decisions that then costs their team so much support work, and just the player losing their position kind of messes with the entire setup.
Well, which map are we going to be playing on for this series? 9-map pool, 8 are out, 1 is left. Who will have the last say? It'll be Rogue. They take away Oregon and take us to Bank. Rogue start off on defense. G2 attack. Final thoughts before we head in. Lobby's ready.
Not surprised to see this. Both teams have the same top 3 preference, which is Sky, Bank and Club. Both teams love both maps. They played Bank stage 1 last stage, where Rogue arguably should have won, but didn't win just for the hero plays happening on the side of G2.
Yeah, I don't know if G2 should have won that game at all. And G2 playing it last Playday, it was not convincing whatsoever from my side. I think that if Rogue shows up with all 5 players, I think G2 is going down to the bottom.
That is the question that we're trying to answer today. This could be a big one because these two teams are gunning for the top 4. Mistakes today can be very costly. Spoit, Alamau, when do they play? Hopefully, they'll actually be showing up in this game. That's also another question. There's so many questions that we want to answer, and we can toss it directly into game. It's ready. We got Desenes to take us through it. Enjoy. Thank you very much.
Milos. Welcome over to Bank once again. This is going to be exciting, Tim, because again, we had that game in the last stage. So it's a rematch of what we saw before. They said it on the desk. I wasn't super convinced by G2 on the day. They did win the game, but it came down to a lot of 3Ks, a lot of 4Ks. The difference now being the Rogue have made that change. Rip's gone, Spoit in. You're not going to be able to walk away with a similar result again today, I don't think.
No, and I mean, this is a map that G2 have already struggled with. There's questions to be answered.
Yeah.
Of this G2 roster. That is probably the kindest way that I can put it. Have they got the talent, the ability? Absolutely. No question whatsoever, but it just doesn't seem to be coming together at the minute. That said, Rogue, again, a little bit of work to be done. Had a lead last week. Didn't manage to finish the game off. Will have no doubt have been upset with themselves about that, and that's something that they too need to work on. So we're going to see, I think, quite a frag-heavy game here. It's going to be a real war between these two. I don't think it'll be an easy game for either. We will see what's going to happen. Finker coming in as our opening ban. Thatcher rounding out the attackers.
Absolutely, that Finker ban coming through from Rogue's a spicy one because they play it themselves quite a bit. But it being taken away is just kind of we'll do some damage to you, but also a bit of damage to ourselves here. We'll just get her off the board because she is super obnoxious. Lots of teams running her, of course, from the global healing, the LMG, the ability to get down players back up, the nades, the Gon 6. She does absolutely everything you could want. The Oryx also being taken away there as well by G2. Last I recall, we've seen Leon playing that last week quite a bit on Chalet. No doubt part of the arsenal that maybe G2 are fearful of seeing here today on Bank.
Very possibly Rogue are going to take away the final defender. An interesting one to note. We'll see if we get any use from it or not, but Knock is available. We don't see Knock available too often on Bank. Quite often one of the popular attacker bans because of that potential garage push that you get out where you don't need to take the default cam out. You just use the Hell Presence reduction device. Sneak your way down there into the garage and see what you can get going up the ramp. But not going to be picked up immediately, but it's more the sort of pick that you'd use in the
What did you just say, sorry?
Anyway.
What did you say?
I said not picked up
Got it.
initially.
I thought so. I just wanted to just confirm.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Cool. And then more the sort of thing that you'd pick up in the attacker repick anyway.
Absolutely. I think it's worth noting again, this is once again that rematch opportunity. Prano, who used to play on Rogue back in Stage 3, drops away from that team to go and join the superstar lineup of G2, who to date have not yet found the success that they were destined for. And I know that last week they had a bit of a conversation after in saying, look, this is kind of the make or break point, boys. We've got to change something. And I'm hoping that here in week 2 they make it happen. Because if they fall short again here today, I think they're in for another torrid season and probably even start already falling out of that conversation of getting a major spot. And that is not the kind of result you want to be talking about when you've put as much money into a roster like this as no doubt G2 have today. We start up in CEO and Executive Lounge. Not really a sight we see all that often, Tim, because we've seen a couple of really interesting Sens uses. The windows are quite deadly, less so now than they used to be. And looking on the attacking side already, the Alamal's being brought along here. Alamal is still here for the party, yes, but he's bringing along that Ying. They've got the Amaru on side. They've got a lot they're trying to work behind here, and Prano already almost being caught out there by Leon, I think it was.
Takes a little tickle of damage, but nothing too much, nothing to write home about, put it that way. He will be fine for the rest of this one, but as you say, lucky that maybe Leon didn't quite just catch a headshot there. Now, I've got a little bone to pick there. It's in the last game.
Bone to pick? Oh, no.
Well, in the last game, I did hear you forcing Hap to do an impression of me, Des.
And it sounded a lot like Demo.
To be fair, I think it was closer to me than you get.
What? Hang on a minute.
He's got him hooked. He's reeling him in. It was too easy.
Do you like fishing, do you, Tim?
It was too easy.
Do you like fishing, do you? Might have just caught the biggest one of your life.
That instant reaction was an absolute beauty.
Unreal.
Absolute beauty. There has been requests for a proper laser gates, so I'll throw that one out.
Do you do your best Hap impression? I'm trading your places now.
No, I think that's risky.
You sure?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I just don't think me doing a Dutch accent's going to work out very well. But I tell you what will work out. Leon going out of that window, managing to get himself two. Alamau and Doki get taken down. Prano manages to get the refrag, but the damage is done, Des. 4 versus 3. You've lost your Ying, you've lost your Zofia. And that is not an ideal way to start this round for G2.
All before it barely hit the ground, so even a Claymore probably wouldn't have saved them there as well. Just... losing the Ying, that's the real stinger, because that's what this whole execute rides on, is that one operator. The Candela's coming through, all the rest of it in tandem with the Amaru. Just simply not going to happen. So now you've got to see G2's recovery abilities here. And looking back to last week when Rogue were playing on Chalet, that is just textbook Rogue. Out windows, looking for spawn peaks, being cheeky. You know this is coming, and that is probably something that I've got no doubt G2 are now kicking themselves and saying, boys, we really should have expected that. Why weren't we ready?
Citizen looking to get something going, just going to take a peek in through the CEO wall that's been left soft there. We've got Prano ready to go up the hatch. He might actually catch somebody out. He's got somebody just in front of him. I think that's going to be in Jack. No, it's in the corridor, so potentially Spike could be in danger here. Soft wall between him and the other, but look at the reflexes. Spike just spins 180, hits him with the turn and burn, takes him down. Citizen manages to get Kanto, but he's now in a 1v3. Shut down by Spike, and that's going to be Rogue taking round number 1.
Indecisive fashion as well. I mean, we'll all bow our heads to Lord Leon in that case. That double jump out just shut down the attack from G2, and the rest of the round was just trying to piece something together. And I don't blame him. I think it was a good attempt as well with the Amaru coming through, but fundamentally just nowhere near enough. Great first round coming out for Rogan, showing G2 this time round things are much different, and we mean business.
Certainly seems that way. A good round. The thing is, I'm looking forward to seeing round 2 in a way, because G2... they've been hit by a Leon jump out, and I'm not taking the play away from Leon. Fantastic play, got the job done, basically won the round for Rogue. But G2 then are left attacking at half strength for half of the round. You know, I want to see him get into position. I want to see a G2 execute here, because that's something that we've picked up on, is a little bit of a lack of teamwork between them, maybe not always playing, off each other enough. So I wanted the execute. That's like your ultimate teamwork test to me. Getting yourself into position, getting that diffuser down with cover, understanding where everybody is. So I really want to see G2, get to that position to put in that diffuser down, or at least attempting to, just to give us a little bit of a window, a little bit of an idea.
And the changeover here coming in as well, away from that Ying. I thought they were maybe going to try and stick it and make a good use of an execute once again, given they didn't get the chance. But no, their change instead looks a lot more like bringing along the Monty. Bringing on the book here, I think, more for the ranged horizontal destruction of the walls, if so required. Not really thinking it's all that valuable for the site, given there is no vertical destruction. Hatches are going to be your main focus, but for that, you've got the Habana, you've got the Thermite. A long time back now, it feels like Habana was kind of declared by Ubisoft to be that queen of the hatches, with those 18 pellets in back pocket that can now do 2, 4, or 6. 4 times 4 is 16, Tim. That means you can get yourself 4 hatches opened up, and there are 5 that you have to worry about in trying to get onto the downstairs, but you can afford to ignore 1 or 2 of them as well.
We saw this attack from G2 last week, and it looks like it's being done slightly differently. It was one that I heard Fresh speak through, and he explained how Doki was left top floor on his own, and it was a big problem, basically, because he could be pushed from too many many directions. This time, Virtue is in a position to help, but Dorky is beyond helping as Spoit manages to find the opener at the bottom of main stairs, and that is going to leave Virtue potentially in a similar position. No, he's got Citizen up there with him as well. So this time, by contrast, to explain the problem last week, G2 basically pushed 4 out of 5 straight into server. They thought they'd recognise the gap on site. They didn't move quickly enough to get in there. Dorky got shut down. They got hit on the flank. This time, by contrast, they've sent 3 out into the map. There's only Prano and Alamo down in server. They're unlikely to be able to get the diffuser down on their own. And now they've got 2 players chasing shadows upstairs. So this is going to be a tough round for G2.
Bit of a kicker for Deepek as well. Lost both of those Yokai drones out around the map. One upstairs in square, one was caught out down here in server. So a good read by G2 on that front. The issue now being, if they've got to make use of that exothermic to get the main wall opened up, they've only now got 1 hard breach left. Doki not really able to get anything opened up at this point. One is staying closed. This one's still being played by the defender. So G2, they've ignored this staff and open area hole and just saying, look guys, you want the hatch, you can have it. We've got a shield.
That's it. They're going to have to try and play behind that. But Virtue, he's sort of scrambling.
Where is Virtue?
That's exactly. He's sort of scrambling at the minute and relocating. He's taking himself down off the roof and he's going to be going into the alleyway and looking to get into server to support. So that's 3 out of 4 now. Citizen, he's going to be there to hold down the flank up on the upper floors. And this is the opportunity that G2 need to use to get in and try and get this diffuser down. But there's still a lot of utility that's potentially going to stop them doing it. We've got the Toxic Babe canister goes out and that prevents potentially Alamo from backing out. No, he has managed to get away, but he's taken a slight bit of damage with him. There's still a good bit of time that can be wasted. Another 10-15 seconds will go before G2 can push.
No C4, no Yokais, only an impact really left here for Rogue. They're going to have to go aggressive and challenge this with guns up, but you're coming up against the Monty. Plant attempt coming through here behind another smoke. No way, has Leon got away with it? They saw him just in the nick of time. Shotgun's out, sees the man, gets the down as well. Will he get the diffuser? Yes, he can, but he's got to step forward and plant. Can you get around the man who's down and injured? Can you? Yes, you can indeed, but Deepek gets 2. They've got to close out, and Rogue, hold on.
Rogue, very, very well played there. I'll give a little bit of a hand to G2. They worked it well. They got the men downstairs into server. They created a position to try and get the diffuser down. The problem was they just didn't have sufficient site control in order to do it. Leon was allowed to walk inside a CCTV. They were almost, G2, hampered by their own smoke canister there. It allowed Leon to get into that position to get that shotgun shot off, take the diffuser down. The planting stopped, and it just threw a little bit of chaos into the mix that G2 did not need.
Oh, so close, yet so far. A great response from Rogue as well. Again, panicking almost, knowing they had no utility left. They didn't have any Yokai still on field. Just overall really well done. I want to go back towards Doki for a second at the top of Marble as well, Tim. Our big criticism towards them last week was the drone play in front of their entries. Now, you look at Doki here and go, but Des, he's playing Habana. He's a support player. He's got a drone himself in. Think about players more on roles rather than so much what operators they're playing. And whilst you haven't got Doki strictly being an entry there, he's looking to kind of be the backstabber, the one that comes in down main stairs and does some damage to the setup, or at least try and push his way inside open area and staff room. He was more doing that because if he gets the kills, he can get the hatches opened up. So it's more about the role he's playing than so much the operators that he's on. But that easy pickup with Spoit not being droned out, G2 will be kicking themselves once again because it looks in that round at least like some of those issues from last week are still present in this game.
So it looks that way. We have Doki moving quickly up towards the castled open area window, but then he dips himself away, thinks better of it, just going to ping it out. I think just waiting for that to be opened up potentially. I don't know if he's waiting for somebody to do it with a nade or something similar. He does have hard breach utility himself, so could well do it, but backs off for the time being, and they're going to look to be getting top floor control. Citizen looking to maybe push in through electrical. I'm not sure if he's just waiting for maybe a little bit of movement through tellers and archives to have an opportunity to potentially just catch somebody out on the rotate.
Citizen's here, the one that everyone's got their eyes on as well. You know, the big storyline coming in today was Citizen versus Spoit. Who wins? So far, Spoit 3-0, Citizen 2-2. Leon with another shutdown. And I tell you what, that one sits deep. These boys have got a little bit of rivalry between them, and finding your arch nemesis almost as the entry in the round, it's got to feel good.
Crime manages to find Doki, and that is not feeling good for G2, as it's now 5 versus 3. Virtue's trying to move in on the knock. He's trying to find himself a little backstab here, see if he can get anybody on the rotate. He sees his man, he takes shots, but Spoit manages to escape barely with his life there, down to about 30 HP, but still in the fight. He's going to drop down, see if he can catch anything through the drone hole. Nothing there to be had for the time being, and Virtue just dips himself away away. He's going to get himself in a secure position and then get on the drones. Knows now that Kanto is inside of Tellers, but it's not going to be an easy challenge in here.
Absolutely not. They're still got to clear him out, Tim. And, it's been over half the round that we've now seen elapsed. They're still currently at least stood behind some of these castle barricades that are up as well. They want the man out of this spot. They'll get rid at least of this castle barricade and start stepping their way through, but the support coming in from elevators. Do Rogue go aggressive here and make a step forward to try and go for this fight? Alamar gets a kill elsewhere, but it's still a numbers advantage to Rogue.
This is it. This is all over Archives and Tellers, Des. This is not even pushing in towards the main site. Virtue just thinks better of it as he's about to push into the elevator corridor. He dips himself back. 45 seconds left to go on G2. The three players, that are left for them need to think about how they're going to get themselves secured inside a site here and have an opportunity to get the diffuser down. Leon, he's going to find Virtue, shut him down now, 2 versus 4 as G2 continue trying to push on through the admin office. Alamau knows the Maestro is in place but can do nothing as Deepak shuts him down alongside another Leon kill, and that is going to be Rogue winning the round 3-0, and this is a lightning quick start from then.
It feels it feels more together than last week from G2. Like, at least they're aligned in what the goal is here, right? Push through square, get into sight, look to win some fights on site. The problem is no drone work on site itself and just a bit too slow. Rogue didn't have to move an inch. They could just sit and play in their positions and wait. The only one that really had to move was Kanto, stepping out of playing inside of front desk and inside of Teller's archives, instead moving down towards main stairs. Outside of that, everyone else just sat and waited. You have Maestro sat against the quad wall, one playing around Printer, one in elevators, and one on main stairs. And as G2 step in, it's like, okay, then take that gunfight, win that one, because they didn't even see me there. And Rogue aren't having to make lots of effort. Whereas G2, it feels, even when they've all got an aligned idea of what they want to get done, they're lacking the fundamentals to support that idea. The drone work, the trades, all the rest of it, at the minute at least, isn't there. And that's probably why there's a tactical timeout.
The big question, Des, is can they fix that during the tactical timeout? That is, is that going to be something that they can turn around? I mean, look at the top right of your screen. I don't want to get carried away. This is only Playday 2. But G2, if this result holds, are looking at being in 9th place, Des, out of 10 teams. They are fighting, or at least in their minds, fighting for a major spot. If you lose your first 2 or 3 games, I can tell you now, it's going to be difficult to get into the top 4.
I said it a few times, but I feel if G2 lose this week, they'll just keep on rolling then in their own sort of inertia and not really able to climb anywhere. There's probably 5 or 6 teams that are now all starting to consider fighting for one of those major spots, right? You got like Heroic, you've got Wolves, you've got M&M, you've got BDS, you've got Rogue. Throw G2 in that mix as well if you want. Outsiders currently in 2nd place with 1 full regulation win and 1 overtime loss. Not looking the cleanest, but then neither are G2. So the kind of bar is set at being better than teams like Heroic, Wolves, M&M. You've got to be able to best those kind of teams if you want to get to a major. And do G2, after 1 and a bit play days so far, look like they stack up to any of those teams? No.
Heading back up to the top floor for another defense then, Rogue. I would have liked to have seen the Ying again brought along by G2. They didn't get the opportunity to use the Candelas last time around. I know that they're probably concerned about the potential for another jump out, but that's something that you can manage, you can punish, and then you can use the Ying. I would have maybe liked to have seen just another attempt at that, but they've gone with a different route. This time they're going to open up the elevator wall, and that is just going to make it more difficult to play in that corridor and alongside the vending machine. Alamau's thinking now about getting up on those windows to support Doki, but you can just see that the care is there. Leon's thinking about it, though. He wants a bit more. He's already had 2 kills off this jump out, but Alamau has kept himself grounded this time. So, Leon, it'd be an idea to keep yourself in that building.
Alamau's just being so careful here. Oh, you must be joking. You must be joking, Doki. Did we all just see the same thing?
Not the best nade that we've seen in a UL. Doki going to unfortunately catch himself, and Alamau there.
Unfortunately, Tim.
I'm trying to be positive, Des.
He's not positive. He's just killed himself and his teammate with a nade that was meant to get rid of Leon. Leon's like, the only sad piece of this for Leon is that he doesn't get 2 kills on his KD. That's unreal.
I mean, I'm going to give the
timeout definitely changed something, Tim, but not in the right way.
I'm going to give the assist to Leon on those 2. He was hassling.
He was the bait.
He was the bait. He was hassling the window. He got him to play in that way. Citizen's going to try again. He gets it in through the window this time.
Hey! G2 can throw nades. Woo!
much better near from Ben there. Second one potentially going to come in, going to take a tickle of damage off Leon, but as you say, it goes too far. Does force him out of position though. And you know, all jokes aside now, Citizen finds a kill, 4 versus 3, and it brings it back. G2 need to knuckle down now. They've had a big blip, they've had a big problem in the beginning of the round, but they've still got 40 seconds, and now it's 3v3. Citizen gets himself a second from the windows. There is an opportunity for G2 to turn this around, and I think Doki is going to be sitting on his hands, holding his breath, hoping that they do.
Only on the back of Rogue throwing this. There is no way you're in a 5 versus 3 and you start giving this one away. They've still got a C4 in back pocket. Flash is coming through. Full white screen on towards Spoit as out comes Deepek, looking to watch the window. That angle being held, just not quite losing his life. Going to step inside the smoke here as well and hope that someone else plays on the window. On the window they will be, and Deepek gets the close down. That's always the problem of playing against the Warden. Virtue finds one. Can he find a second tucked in the back corner? Yes, he can, but can't find the last man. This one should time out. Sees the man maybe lay down. No, it's out in the main hallway. Looked close for a second, and G2 did nearly pull it back. But Doki, my son, unforgivable.
Oh dear.
That's class.
Doki's not a win.
That's absolutely
Doki's
class.
not a window player.
I mean, I love he's got it up again. Fresh, I tell you what, we need to get Fresh and printed out cards. It's like the audience when it's like clap or boo or whatever. Fresh is just over there just like, EU Siege, bro. I need to watch that back on Super Stream later. He's going to be losing his rag. Oh.
But it happens. It happens. Not very often.
Bronze,
not very often.
In bronze.
Not very often, but it does happen. I'm trying, Doki. 4-0 it is to Rogue. It's heading through to round 5. They're going to be down into the basement again. It's going to be Lockers and CCTV. We saw this back in round number 2. It was, you've guessed it, it was a Rogue Windows because they haven't lost one yet. Spoit opened things up with a kill onto Doki. G2's clearance of the top and mid floor just weren't really effective enough. They did actually have a good push into server. A nice sort of attempt at getting the diffuser down, but ultimately
G2 have said, get off drones, Doki. Bring drones,
somebody who doesn't have a nade.
Sorry. No more nades, Doki. Get on the IQ where you can do as little damage possible, not just to the enemy, but also to us.
G2 had a nice attempt at getting the diffuser down here last time around. It came down to some late round aggression. Rogue still found a way, and that was impressive from them. I'd like to see G2 get in here and deal with those roamers a little bit better, because Rogue, they played it very well. You know, I don't just want to say that this is G2 not doing things. You know, it's Rogue doing things well. They're playing very well as a team. They're sort of establishing crossfires. They're getting trades. They're playing off each other's contacts. They're making it very difficult for G2 to get any sort of man advantage going on, and I'm loving to see that from Rogue. They're looking really sharp, and on top of all of it, absolute basics, they're winning gunfights.
They're doing everything right so far.
They are. You've got to give it to them.
Look, I mean, Kanto's having a rough start, 0-4.
Deepek and Leon.
Yeah, and Spoit as well, 4-1. Yeah.
14 between them.
Just flying. There's just no concerns. And this is the thing for Kanto. Like, I don't want to harp on him too bad, because when your team's playing well and getting the kills, like Leon's jumping out and getting 2, that leaves far fewer for you to pick up, and he's playing a much more defensive role here.
There's only four rounds finished. There's only 20 potential kills, and 14 of them have been found by 3 of the other players. So, like you say, you're sort of feeding on scraps there as the other players trying to get anything. So, absolutely no criticism at all. Doki has got himself established a little bit better on top floor this time. There's a bit of a standoff between him and the man just outside of stock. The Echo drone comes out, gives the information, and Spoit plays off it beautifully. Same site, same players, same result.
Just far too easy as well. Great little bit of assist work coming out from Rogue. Something we've really praised Heroic for as well. To see another team doubling up on that is great. But G2 are starting to find the kills in the round. Virtue's marching his way in between sites here as well. They've had that north side drop come in, whereas the southwest corner currently being held by Rogue. It's turning into a bit of an RTS on the downstairs here, Tim. And now it's going to be about who moves out first, who tries to make the play.
That's really big. Spoit's in a difficult position here because, as you say, Virtue was moving around one side, and then you've got the man inside a garage on the other. So this is not going to be easy. Spoit knows he's there, nearly gets the kill onto the knock, goes back for seconds and finds what he wants. Virtue manages to find Kanto, leaving us now in a 2v3, 56 seconds. Spoit could have a big impact here if he can find the man inside a red corridor. They're not really sure. They bounce in one direction to the other. Deepak's taking the challenge just at the bottom of elevators there. 44 seconds left to go. Alamouth and Spoit, it's all up to Deepak. He's played well so far, but this is going to have to be another level from him, 1v3.
It's a real time to shine now. now as well. Steps across from the longer range 1v1. Sees the player still dipping back. Gets the one as the plant starts going down. Sees the head. Gets the spray, but the diffuser's finished. It's on the ground, and Virtue's down. He's won the round from there, Tim. He's done it. Deepek doesn't know at this point, but he can stick this one out as if he's just won that 1v3.
Please don't come off the diffuser, Deepek. He's going to stick it. He's going to see it all the way through. When the challenge doesn't come in and he's halfway through disabling that diffuser, he knows at that point he's got a very good idea that last player is down. A 1v3 for Deepek, and you got to feel for G2 a little bit. You know, you've got a 3v1 and they still can't get it won. Nothing is going right for them.
They're on the attack, Tim. Yeah, on this map, many teams will say to you, horrifically like attacker-sided map, and the stats backed it up. Back in stage 1 around the world, I want to say it was our most attacker-leaning map. I think Border maybe have been just ahead, but it was either 37% or 43%. It is a lean towards the attackers, but G2 so far, unable to find anything. And I said it earlier on, but Rogue, although they're having to make some effort in that last round, a couple of the rounds, they've barely had to move a step. They've just got the kills as G2 have walked in, looking somewhat aligned on direction in the round in terms of the strategy, but the core fundamentals, the micro behind that macro plan, just didn't exist.
You just got to wonder what's going on. You know, you just got to wonder what's going on. They had control of site there. They had 2 players out in vault. They had one ready to put the diffuser down. But again, Des, they're in a situation. You've got a 3v1. You put in the diffuser down. There was no real cover for him to put that diffuser down. He was in there putting it down on his own. The other 2 players are out in vault. There's no way they can have an impact on Deepek coming across and, you know, starting to get that kill. It's just...
The question it will bring is the swing that came in from Gold Bar. And it's a very European thing. NA players will tell you this all the time. Oh, they love to swing out there. Whatever. The thing is, he swung out to take that challenge inside of Orange, a full body exposure, which is what when Deepek won the 1v1. He was the cover for that plant going down. And that, I think, was kind of the panic point is, okay, well, why are you swinging there? You can hold the angle and wait for him to go for the cross, to go for the challenge onto the planter, and that is when you get your kill. That's when he's stuck between looking at the diffuser or looking at the player holding the angle.
Well, this is kind of what I mean. It feels as if it was a little bit disjointed in that the G2 players got ahead of the planter, looking for kills, looking to get inside a site and play aggressive, and then the planter is left behind and he's like, all right, I'm going to put the diffuser down. And you're in a position whereby to cover that planter is then extremely difficult.
Hey.
You know, it's never going to be easy. Virtue manages to get a kill onto Leon. That is a good start for G2. Get themselves an opener, take down the mute, and give themselves an opportunity to at least get a bit of a toehold in this one.
Just imagine if Rogue 7-0 G2 today.
Stop it.
Just imagine. Imagine. It'd be something special.
It would.
It would be one for the
see.
ages. It would spark change in G2 in some way, shape or form. I'm absolutely sure of that. Doki's in on the top floor. Still yet to find a kill for himself in this game as well. I know a couple of the rounds he's been playing on the Hibana, for example. We've seen him on, I think, a different operator in every single round so far. He has played Zofia, Hibana, Book, Iana, IQ, and now Sledge. There's no real same op for any player on this team, except for maybe Citizen, who's played the Iana 4 times. But we've had 3 Iana players, for example. They keep on changing who's doing what, and I imagine that's kind of damaging a little bit of stability this team has got.
Possibly. Citizen going to find Kanto there, take him down. That's now 5 versus 3. G2 can build on this now. They can push themselves towards at least getting their first round on the half. The last thing they want is to be going into the second half on match point every single round. Virtue manages to get a second in the round. Going to find Crying Doki onto Spike. This could be a flawless round for G2. And what a turnaround that will be. Deepek looking to come around on the flank, but all the G2 players have sort of rotated away from him now. They've moved away towards staff to try and get themselves inside of that cafeteria area and look at getting the plant down, I would imagine.
Well, it's a tall order, but you have got an Alder, and that's one weapon you want to make this happen. Red Ping's coming through, hoping for a spray through the wall potentially. Now they're going to know as a result of, hello, beepers did go off there, Alam. I don't know if you heard them or not, but either way, they get away with it. A 1 versus 4. Doki finally on the stairs finds himself a kill, gets on the board, as do G2. It's only 1 round, Tim, but it's at least a little bit of padding.
It's a start, it's something. It was a bit better from G2, picking themselves up a couple of early kills at least. Seemed to just have a better handle on where those Rogue Roamers were. I picked up on roamers earlier in the game. It's something G2 haven't really been dealing with that well. They've been going in, they've been losing gunfights. They've not really been getting the map control that they need to then facilitate those executes later in the round. So that was certainly much cleaner from that perspective. We're going to swap sides now. G2 going to head on to the defense for the next 6 rounds. Rogue only need 2 successful attacks there, and that's always a dangerous spot to be in for the team who's on the losing end of that, because basically you're always going to have a third choice site. You're always likely to have a site that you struggle to hold on to. You know, the question is, how often do we see 6-0 halves? Not very often. So you'd expect Rogue to at least guarantee overtime out of this, but really all they need to do is find that third choice site that they can win the attacks on, and that's going to be the full 3 points for them.
I really wouldn't be surprised to see Rogue just run through G2 like a whirlwind in this round.
Maybe. Wouldn't surprise me.
Just in this round more specifically, because looking back at how they played last week, there were a couple of attacks that went a little bit awry. But on the overwhelming part of it, I thought their attacks were so well done. There was a really good attack they had into Bar and Gaming on Chalet, where M&M were all scattered across the top floor. They had 3 players up there. Spoit's kind of sent in as a sacrificial lamb. He loses his life trying to vault in through the library hall window. But that distraction means the other 4 players just flood sight. Cryan runs in, gets a 2k inside a split and turns it into an ace everywhere else. So Rogue haven't lost that spark since stage 3 of last year, back when Prano used to be on the team, in saying, right boys, there's a chance, go for it. And all 5 players commit to this one really aggressive push that just works out, and it's a real beautiful thing to watch. So I'm nervous for G2. If they're caught slacking, Rogue will just run at them.
That's it. It certainly seems to be in the DNA of the team now, does that type of...
I love it. It's so fun.
I'd say opportunistic aggression. You know,
I mean, even look here, right? Their hard breachers aren't really hard breachers. They've got it as gadgets. They've got the 0 for information. They love using it on this map. And the book for Leon is another story as well. They've got what they need in terms of hard breach, but they want the guns. And I think Leon said this on Twitter. Our whole philosophy is give everyone a really good gun and say go nuts and have a loose strategy to play around. And it's worked so well for them.
Cryan sneaking in to tell us, just on the knock there, looking to get himself actually inside of the room. Spite absolutely removes Prano from main stairs.
Removes him. Decapitates him from main stairs there, Tim. Good night, sleep tight. Cryan coming in from the other side here, so in case there is anyone lurking in on the below, G2 trying to be potentially aggressive and get out on their own, try and disrupt the attackers, as defenders need to do these days. They've got an answer, and he's just playing so patiently. I don't think they've thrown Virtue inside of Elevator, though, so he could be the real thorn in their side here. If he manages to catch out Cryan, they lose this west side threat, and the rest of G2 can just turn their attention skyward.
Yeah, he's in a good position, is Virtue. Even if they do draw him out, he just drops the hatch behind him, and he's still then disappearing, you know, he's disappearing off into the bowels of the map and has an opportunity to re-emerge on the flank, and it just means then that Rogue have to constantly be watching those staircases to see where he's going to reappear from. But time is ticking down, 2 minutes are gone, and Rogue need to just get that momentum back.
Does he know? I mean, now it's in the shots, now they most definitely know that someone's playing inside of there. Does he want to take this 1 versus 1 though, or does he want a little bit of support? Either way, still watching for the hatch above as well. I think at this point just nervous someone might come down behind him, because you expect him to be in the first one.
He's moved himself.
He has moved. Yeah. I don't think you expect him to be in the second. Now he's been droned out, so they know either way. He steps out, he might get himself pincered here. Gone into the first elevator instead, so dancing back and forth here. It's like musical chairs, just can't quite keep his feet still. He's got one on the stairs next to him, and potentially Cryan coming in from the other. They've got a good pinch ready, but they need to move to him. There's only 20 seconds left.
Spite's going looking for this kill. He's going to find it. 5 versus 3 now, as Rogue have got themselves into a great position. It might just, they're going to keep pushing forward here, but it might, as you say, just give them an opportunity to put the diffuser down. We're going to see utility being burnt. Nades coming in. There's the drop. Cryan finds Citizen. It's the diffuser going down. Nitro will not be successful. Kills are found. Flawless round, and Rogue are 6-1.
It's like I said, I feel like they'll just run over them like a whirlwind at some point. I won't lie, with 20 seconds on the clock, I'm thinking, nah, there's no way Rogue pulled this off now. They haven't got rid of Virtue. But that's just how fast this team can hit you. They can go from first gear to 5th at the click of your fingers. It is terrifying, and they've just shown their capability. This is I don't want to say a complete turnaround from stage 1. In terms of result, it absolutely is. But Rogue have really doubled down on the advantages they had back in stage 1 over G2. And I think this ends 7-1, and G2 have a lot of questions to ask of themselves going into week 3.
That's it. You know, I'm sure they're going to be pouring over. There's a beautiful shot from Spite. Absolutely. You know, there's nothing that you can do about this. If this is going to be the entry that you suffer to, we just see the Malusi drop the hatch there. That's Citizen getting himself out of trouble, and then look at that.
You can see you've got maybe 3 frames in which to kill him.
Absolutely nothing that you can do about that. The thing is, you've got to remember that was in like super slow motion as well. That was a heartbeat that he actually hit that shot in. You know, that's the sort of time frame that we're looking at. If that, it was absolutely unreal from Spike. So great round for Rogue, 6-1. As you say, G2 really facing the barrel here of a potential 7-1. I'm sure this game is going to be poured over by them, you know, to find what went wrong, where the mistakes were made. But to be honest, a lot of it has come down to Rogue just taking the opportunities very, very well.
They have, like, unbelievably so as well. It's, you know, back on that defensive half, we spoke about it. They didn't have to move, and when they did have to move, they made sure they did it with purpose, right? There was nothing that was kind of like did we go for a jump out? Do we look for this? Do we look for that? I'm not really sure. No, everything seemed to have a plan behind it and a meaning and a purpose, whereas with G2, that's just felt like it's a little bit lost at point. And at this point, it feels like Kanto's the one that's playing window watch, right? Just waiting for someone to launch themselves out. Rogue are no strangers to it. They know exactly what Leon's like, for example, but so far no one going for that. Spoit's just walking straight in here. Will he cut someone off if they're playing on the upstairs? There is one playing at the top of blue. So G2 aren't on quite a full hold. They're not playing up here on this second floor, on the first floor, looking to hold around open area, but it does mean they've managed to get their way through quite quickly here, and I don't think they expect Spoit to be where he is right now.
No, I don't think they do. As you say, he's played quite aggressively. We've seen Virtue hold blue stairs extremely well in the past, so that is a position that he could potentially keep a hold of for another minute and a half yet, Virtue, quite easily. Citizen and Doki are going to be important components of this defence here. Citizen's just about ready to drop the hatch. I don't know if he's just going to try and take a challenge on before he does it. He's keeping himself active for the time being. Doki coming to back him up there, a couple of shots through. They know now somebody is at elevators. That much is sure for them. The question now is how long do Doki and Citizen hold on for?
Crying could do a bit of work here on a potential cut if they're not expecting this. They're both now dropped away. It's interesting because this was actually a thing I said back in stage 1. G2, no matter what their own was, were always all back on site by a minute and a half in the last time these two teams played. And sometimes I was like, well, Rogue haven't pressured you yet, but you still dropped away at the 90-second mark where I really feel there was an extra 20, 30 seconds of time wasting in there. So at the cost of a few drones, Rogue have already got G2 entirely back on site at the 90-second mark. They've got so much time to make this work.
There go the Candelas, and the drop will potentially follow. They just had a bit of an opportunity for those to wear off. That smoke canister will go as well. There's just a lot of utility being dumped into Vault at the minute, but not much of a follow forward. As you say, it's a little bit of a distraction. Make a lot of noise over there whilst you take a bit of action over here. Leon's going to find Virtue. Kanto's looking for more, but it's going to be Leon and Deepak that keep doing the work. Leon's getting that diffuser down, and in a 5v2, you can't help but think that this is probably all over. Citizen and Alamo, though, managed to put the diffuser down. 3v1, however, as Spoit, he managed to find himself one, and that diffuser starts going down again. Spoit's on the cover, and there is nothing left for it but for Citizen to try and push in and find kills. Can't find any, and that's going to be Rogue taking the result. 7-1 and a full 3 points. Unbelievable performance from them, you've got to say. Work needs to be done for G2, but credit where it's due. Rogue looked good.
Yeah, take nothing away from Rogue. This is a step up on what we saw from them back in stage 1. That aggression, that pace, it's exactly that. I wish I could translate what he was saying there, Leon. I'm sure it's full of expletives and it'll be well worth understanding, but there's simply no need. Again, mega showing overall. Big shout out to Deepak and Spoit as well. Deepak has been pretty quiet in the changeover since then. He's gone back to that flex support spot. Today, really big game out of him.
Just for me, a good game from Rogue all over the map, and by that I mean no matter where G2 pushed them, they were winning gunfights, whether it was Deepak, whether it was Spoit. They were out there and they were difficult to shut down. They were difficult for G2 to really get any sort of sense of rhythm, to set anything up. They just couldn't do it.
I didn't have this down in my books as being a 7-1, especially to Rogue. I thought it'd be a lot closer. It'd be one of our big games of the day, but G2 going out without much of a whimper there. Rogue looking very strong and starting their campaign towards that Berlin Major in style. Let's go to a quick break. When we come back, our analysts will break it down for you, including that team kill nade.